World, and welcome back to another episode of Americana. I'm Willie Montague.
And I'm Shakhea Hinton.
Well, you guys, you already know we dive right into the truth. There's no spin. There's nothing here but absolute concrete truth and a little bit of Trumpster going on.
Sure.
So buckle up. This is Americana. Let's dive right into this. Well, as I said, and we're going to have Shakhea's opinion here, we're going to have a conversation today about Trump in Greenland. And he said that there's no need for him to continue to push what he's been pushing with the tariffs because he has a deal on the table. She's sipping the tea. We're going to give a little pause.
It's a bully. So he's a bully if I ever did see one.
But I told you that he was not trying to really get Greenland. He was simply using the strong arm, the art of the deal. That's who Trump is. Y'all be messing with Trump, but Trump know how to negotiate. And them people said, no. Don't take our land. We'll give you what you need. Here's a little cut. So what do you, in all honesty, how do you think, because people say if he can get Greenland, he can go, I forgot who put it, if he can get Greenland, he's going to go out there and take over. It's nothing he can stop to go get. Why does that rhetoric act like he's going to take over the whole world?
Because that's Trump's mindset. It's not far-fetched. He wants to conquer anything that he sets his mind to. And, you know, to a degree, that is a great strength to have, right? But on the other side of that coin, what are the repercussions of that? Like, what's the domino effect of pushing so hard to get your way? Is it the possible fallout of not having alliances, you know, down the road? Like, what's the fallout?
That could be it. I don't think Trump is really concerned about as much as the alliance is about understanding that I'm the president of the United States. We are a leading country in many ways. And if I want to be able to make negotiations, I should not be limited in those negotiations. What's
next on the docket? Where else is he trying to take over?
Well, I wouldn't mind. What was it that they say he was trying to come for? I cannot remember that. I know that it was Greenland. It was another place that he's trying to was talk about. It was on his campaign, but he's been at the Greenland since he started the campaign trail last year.
I don't recall him mentioning anything about Greenland.
Yeah, he did.
He
was talking about Greenland, yeah.
It wasn't hyped up enough, I don't think. So he may have mentioned it, but I don't recall it being like one of his focal points, kind of like how immigration is at this point.
Well, that's not a topic I was about to say. Well, since we're talking about it.
We can.
But he says this framework. And so I'm excited about this because this means that, once again, as this topic is kind of on the balance for many people, especially the left, because they feel like this is something that he's just taking over. We are moving into we're moving into a midterm election here. And I think that this, again, as he mentioned himself, that he needs to make sure that there's a majority that's going to win so that he is not impeached and his agenda can continue. So I think this is part of us showing just how powerful Trump's voice and his backing is with things.
Well, speaking of that, of him, you know, trying to do everything in his power not to get impeached, do you think that he will soon enough cancel the election? Like, do you think that there is something down the pipeline that would impede or halt the midterm elections coming up?
I don't know, because we used to always say this growing up, especially in church, about martial law. And that was also mentioned that when it, depending on to what degree it is, that's when elections could be halted.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, if Minnesota and some of these blue people keep kicking up.
It's not even just blue people, honey. Folks, people. The people are tired. It's not. It has nothing to do with party affiliation. I think we are going to see a lot of people. I've said this a number of times. Independents, Republicans, Democrats, all the folks. People are wanting a real change. And I know that we'll eventually probably talk about this too, about how some of the Republican women are also upset with their spouses and things about how they've been showing up. But we'll talk about that. I'm going to get ahead of myself.
So now this is an honest question. So what would happen in a place where it is halted? Because I don't believe President Trump per se is saying, okay, we're going to halt the election and I'm going to be here until I decide not to be here. I don't think that would be the ultimate plan. So what would you think would be like his outcome plan if he does stop the election for 2026?
That is an awesome question, and I haven't done a full investigation on that just yet. I think because I am trying to keep hope alive with the little bit of democracy that we still have left in this country, my desire is that Trump does not do anything that would stop the elections, obviously, so that we can have free and fair elections across the board, and that he doesn't do anything to tamper with said elections, given the hearing that happened today with one of the prosecutors that actually brought charges against him with the 2020 election. So I just hope that he allows whatever happens to happen, even if it's not in his favor or if it is, and we'll see.
Well, I tell you this. I want to throw this in there real fast, y'all. VP, I was about to say Mike Pence.
Yep. Trash. Whatever you about to say. Trash.
The VP of what in the world?
Vance,
yes. Is with child. So congratulations out there. Had to throw that out there.
Usha, girl.
So
blink twice if you need help, Usha.
She fine. So we're moving on. At the World Economic Forum held in Switzerland, President Trump mixes up nations in speech and degrades various heads of states. Let's talk about it.
Did you see it yesterday?
I did not see it yesterday. There's a lot going on out there, y'all.
It is a lot happening in this world.
It's a lot to catch up with.
Yeah, it's a lot. So the brief clips that I did see, it was of his speech, and it's the same banter that he does in the United States. He blabbers. He goes on these long tangents that don't make sense typically. And he degrades, and he goes on another tangent of blabbering about something. Then he'll make a little bit of sense, and then it just never ends. Some people speculated that there was like a medical emergency that he had yesterday, which is why he was leaning for dear life on the podium that was in front of him. His posture did say that there was some type of, that there may be some truth to that statement.
Well, I mean, even if it was a medical emergency, unlike the Democrats that had medical emergency, he continued to finish. He didn't just collapse or move out the way.
I just think both gentlemen are of the same age. They are around the same age where they are peaking, and they should be, I'm not an ableist. Let me just say that. I'm not an ableist. However, there is a time and a place, and I think Trump's time. Not that I want this man to die. I'm not saying that. That is not what I am saying. Let me be very clear. Because you see what I'm saying? You put words in my mouth. Although we do got to meet him one day. I'm just saying, I just think his time of being commander-in-chief may come to an end sooner than we all think. With him resigning is what my goal is, not with him dying. Resigning.
Do you think, this is interesting because you said this, y'all, and with this, do you think they're going to actually enact the 25th Amendment?
Possibly.
And with that, I think there says something about sections. Don't get me quoted with these.
I don't know the sections now.
But it said that would be able for the cabinet to go too. So if he goes, then they can get the cabinet to go too. Now, this has been talked about when they want to do this with Biden, and here it goes, come there. But we don't have enough, well, not we. There's not enough votes to be able to, they would have to have bipartisan support to be able to do it. And it's just not enough. So it can be talking just like, what is his name? His name is Al Green, Congressman Al Green, right? That I think he tried to do impeachment, try to do stuff, and that didn't work as well because it's just not enough to be able to do it. So back to this, why do we excuse white mediocrity?
I think it's because it's embedded in our culture as the United States. White men are used to getting their way. They are used to leading this country. They are used to being in positions of power, and they set the tone for what the standard is. Yet you would have a black person, whether it be man or woman, and we have to work 2, 3, 4 times as hard to get the same respect. Whereas Trump showed up yesterday in Switzerland and was mixing the various countries, right? But yet his party, your party, you don't hold him to a certain standard. It's not presidential. That's what most people are saying, but yet he is not reaching that standard. But yet if it was Obama or if it was someone else, Biden, to your point, there's just a different standard that most people with decorum have to uphold.
So you think that the white men in America are not holding Trump to the same standard?
Most white men who voted for him are not holding him to the same standard, yes.
I don't know if I see that because there's, I'm black and she got her eyes square. I'm Aborigine. And so with that being said, I don't see where it's not the standard, because I go back to this, and I know y'all gonna get sick of me hearing this. Where do we take responsibility as a people of color to build our own spaces without government interference? Or even, yes, we have the President of the United States, but he is not the ruler and controller of everything. I think and I used to say this, growing up, I used to think that the president was like the control of everything, like everything go, and he's not. But I think that we've been back to that now where people don't really understand civics and think that the president really does have control over more than he has. He doesn't have that much control.
Legislatively, no, he doesn't have that much control. Influence, he has erupted a culture of white nationalism that we haven't seen since the Jim Crow era. He has incited a lot of racist commentary that we have not seen since Obama. When Obama first came out, everyone was talking about, him being Islamic and all the things derogatory, right? But with Trump, there's this air that he has invoked within this country that a lot of people are just like, I don't know if this is presidential. I don't know if this is the standard. And so to your point, no, we as a people aren't necessarily we're not looking at Trump as like the end all be all. But when we're in our own respective spaces, there is a certain demeanor that we are expected to be. We're expected to work twice as hard when it comes to education, which is why mostly black women have a lot of degrees. We are expected to show up in the household, and you may differ with me on this, but women, and I'll just speak as a black woman, right? We are expected to do all the things at full velocity. And when it comes to medical history, we are not believed. We have a higher mortality rate when it comes to giving childbirth. And I know that I brought that up because you mentioned Usha. But it's just a lot of things that are expected of us that are not expected of someone who is non-melanated.
So she's saying the clear people we don't have expectation for them. Jimmy Kimmel says comedy has become political because politics have become comedic, excuse me. But that raises a bigger question. Is late night TV still comedy, or is it political messaging dressed up as entertainment? Now, I would say this. I do not like Jimmy Kimmel whatsoever.
Really?
No, I don't. I was glad that he was ousted. Then, of course, he cried enough to get back. So I want to say this. Politics is very serious. It's not a comedy. And I know he makes it into a joke because he wants to make President Trump into a joke. I did not see him saying that during the era of, Obama and Biden and during this time. So all of a sudden now in this administration, politics should be treated as comedy. But how is politics comedy when it's about lawmaking, it's about the way that we see or take care of our families, the way we take care of our communities, and I get it. Jimmy Kimmel's show is about comedy, but politics in itself, which is the very vague, broad stroke that he, painted, should not be made into a comical thing, because that's why I believe what's happening now. People don't take it serious enough, and they don't get out and vote. He should be said like, "Hey, y'all, I make jokes and stuff, but if you want to see change outside of my jokes, you need to go to the voting poll." Not be making like the whole politics world is a joke.
I think a lot of the tenor that you're hearing, the difference from previous administrations to this one, is different and more comedic because of what we see on social media. So the White House main account is very comedic in itself. They use memes to get out their messaging. They use AI videos to make a mockery of other lawmakers. So in itself, it's not just the Jimmy Kimmels of the world or like the comedians who are making light of politics. It's the politicians who are actually running these accounts that are making things lighthearted and juvenile. And I think when you see the head account being as jovial and juvenile about serious topics, then everything else is also going to be lighthearted and juvenile, although these are serious issues that we are faced with. And then, to be completely honest, it's stressful, right? We know, being in this lane, that politics is extremely stressful. So a comedic relief is needed every now and then, or we all gonna have high blood pressure around here. And I'm not gonna go out having high blood pressure.
Now that is very true.
Over Trump.
we do need some kind of comedic relief so that we're able to function.
Yeah.
However, with this generation here, to them, everything becomes more of like, how do we turn this into a TikTok, or how do we make a mockery? And that's, I guess, what's, alarming me, is that, he's having this whole conversation about it. But I get it. I understand that people need some kind of relief from feeling like everything is just serious. But in this 2026 midterm, it's serious.
It is very serious, on both sides of the aisle, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that is a key about any of this stuff, right? But I do think that we are going to see both the comedic side of things and the action behind the comedy. I think people are having to be so comedic about the way politics are being ran. And I think we're going to see the outcome of that in November when they turn out to vote, whether they vote for a Democratic candidate or a Republican candidate. But given the rate of things, it looks like it's going to be a blue wave.
Now, she just had to throw it in there. On the contrary, because of these districts, and I'm going to leave it there as we move on, these districts are turning ruby red.
Aren't they turning?
Now, I want to say this because I want to point this out.
Mid-decade redistricting.
Your girl is trailing behind in the Democrat primary polls.
We can talk about it.
So we're going to bring that up.
You want to talk about it tomorrow?
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
She's trailing. Now,
and if y'all don't know who he's talking about, he's referring to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett over in Texas. She's running for the Senate seat.
I told you that ghetto-ness wasn't going to get her far.
No, it's not. Don't even start. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right. There is a collapse happening, and you know where it is? White women are filing divorce at a higher number due to the recent events that have taken place surrounding immigration and the racial tension Americans are faced with. So white women they
filing for divorce, child.
They about to go black and not come back.
Listen, they is they like them a little chocolate. But all jokes aside, right? All jokes aside. We are seeing a collapse in the white family dynamic. And I think a lot of that has to do with politics. I saw something recently that stated that a lot of Minnesota women were either on social media or were filing for divorce because of their husband's involvement in ICE, or either like how they're responding to all of the riots and all the things that's happening. But then if you go back to that, it's not just happening in Minnesota, it's happening nationally. So my question for you is, does that change anything how you feel about the Black household? Because you often talk about the collapse of the Black family, right? But now that we are seeing white families who are not... Do you see where I'm going?
I see.
You want me to finish that, or are you going to?
I'll take it from here.
Okay.
The Black families have been collapsing before the white families. So I see that what's happening for them is caused.
But do you realize they are just as crazy and jacked up and dysfunctional as Black families?
They may be, but they were not swindled by a white racist man.
And they also weren't massively incarcerated either by the system.
And that's what I was going to say. The things that have been handed to us, we could have taken a different route in the way that we hounded for the leadership that was leading Blacks at that time, and that's leading Blacks at this current time. So at this time, with whites, these white women, they're saying, I don't like your politics. Not there's a government that's trying to stifle out everything in a particular community.
I hear that, but the end result is the same. Families are being separated.
Yes,
Families
and we do not
are
want families separated, yes.
are not having two-parent households, right? So we've had this standard or this idea that white folks hold the standard of what a two-parent household should look like. On the contrary, we are now seeing the decline of that. So I interrupted you, but finish.
Well, I would say this is they know how to build villages.
White people know how to build villages?
They do. Well, let me play this. They know how to stay in the village. I believe that with the people of color is we can build the village, but if there's something we don't like, we instantly pull back because we live often in, from what I view, we live often in this mindset that I'm always the target, or someone's after me, or someone's not, they're not favorable on me, or I can't do this because of this. And I see that so often, even when I deal with the boys, when I have to constantly tell them, like, you're not the victim every single situation. Like, sometimes you have to take accountability for things and build. And that's the same thing what I would say to white folks is take accountability. Did you not know your husband's politics before you married him? If he changed his politics, what was it like? I mean, you just gonna leave him because he decides to go with ICE?
White women knew that during the time of Kamala Harris running for president, but they sided with Trump given a number of reasons. I think one, because Christianity was blanketed over the Republican Party, using that as a means for them to vote the way that they did, right? And then the Democratic Party really harped on reproductive justice and really did that, thinking that they were going to sway the white woman vote over to Kamala's side, but it backfired tremendously.
But now, wasn't it the suburban white women, though, that voted for Trump?
Say it again?
Wasn't suburban white women that? So now what would be the difference? Because aren't these the same women that's now divorcing their husband because of ICE? So what do they want?
I got to do a little more research on that. But
what did you want?
The people are divorcing left and right.
Well, they divorcing because this is the thing. This is why I said, men, you need to put them pants on in that house and do what you need to do and stop letting these women run you. In Jesus' name.
See, here you go. Everybody does not succumb to the same Jesus as you and I will.
Okay, and whatever name you want to call.
You know what?
Whatever name you want to call.
Now, do you think the GOP will weaponize this? Because y'all good for that. When they see something happening and they don't like it, we got to make a law for this. We got to make an amendment to this.
I don't think it's going to be weaponized, but I would think it needs to go back to the point of like, what really is happening if this is, especially when you're talking about white family decline. Mm-hmm. What I think will happen, though, is you're going to have more people like Nick Fuentes come up and start saying, like, this is the reason why they're looking at this, because he's anti anything but white. So I think that you're going to start having people like him rise up to be like, we need to get the White Lives Matter. So we're going to probably have a lot more White Lives Matter protests going on here soon.
You think we'll have streets with murals in them that says White Lives Matter?
Yeah, I might help paint it.
You know what? Where are we on the clock? Because it's time to wrap this show right on up.
White Lives Matter. I'm Aboriginal. I'm just joking with y'all because
explain to people what you mean by that, because they may not know what that means.
What, the White Lives Matter?
No, that you're Aborigine.
So basically, it's a dark-skinned white person. I'm gonna leave it there.
A dark-skinned white person. Not mulatto. We need to.
You call me.
You know what? We're going to dive a little bit deeper into that at another time.
But I love y'all. God knows I do.
Willie, okay, that's enough.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all.
It is Friday Eve, and as you can see, we are really having
Friday
a time
Junior.
over here. Friday Junior, as Willie would say. I'm Shakhea Hinton.
And I'm Willie Montague.
This is Americana, honey. No spin, real talk. We'll see y'all back here again tomorrow. Have a good night.
Have a good night.